Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Hold on, I'm going to let my hair down now.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Do it, Roger.
No,
do it. Nice.
Yeah,
Wait, you got to shake it.
Yeah.
Shake it and stir it.
Yeah, right.
Lose
Getting
it.
an album.
I know.
Yeah.
Earl and the Agitators.
When we were agitators. We're not agitators anymore, are we?
No.
Well, we could be.
We could be.
We could open up for ourselves.
We could. We could just change places.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the funny memories of that was when we came out on one of the cruises, and I was the drummer. We changed instruments.
You switched it all up.
And we went 1, 2, 3, 4. And went, oh no, wait. No. So we all went back to our regular places.
We should do that again.
I know, that was funny.
No, confuse an audience, so they'll probably go, "What's going on? That's not funny."
Yeah.
So you guys, thank you for being here. Scott Holt, lead singer of Foghat. Rodney O'Quinn, Mr. Bassman with the best shoes and clothes on the planet.
Well, wait a second.
What?
I don't know. I've got nice shoes too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you do.
Not tonight. Normally.
See? Brian Bassett,
Hello. all.
Wild Cherry and Molly Hatchet fame, which is just crazy. And Mr. Roger Earl, founder
Yeah.
of Foghat.
Yeah, right. The good Lord hasn't seen fit to take me just yet. I'm very pleased about that. If he had something to do with it, thank you. If he didn't, thank you anyway.
And what a week you guys have had. Forbes magazine.
Whoa.
What a year you've had. Sonic Mojo. I mean, it's just
Now you have to say it
all
like
in-
this, Sonic Mojo.
Oh,
Sonic.
See, you say it better than I do.
It's the gravitas that you got.
Actually, even Sonic Mojo.
Well, let's say it as well. Come on, Sonic.
Give it a shot.
Sonic Mojo.
Sonic Mojo. Sonic Mojo.
I like that.
Sonic Mojo.
So, Brian, again, you were in Wild Cherry, Molly Hatchet. You're no stranger to number ones because Sonic Mojo debuted at number one. Congratulations to you guys.
Yeah, it was a great surprise for us. I mean, we were hoping to chart, with our initial release. We do pre-sales, and so usually that puts you on for a week or two, but we're going on 23 plus weeks now in the top 10 on the blues chart. So
That's insane.
we're pretty excited about that. So
But again, you're no stranger to number ones because Play That Funky Music.
yeah, he had one of those, so many years ago in the
Let's go
glorious
back to
70s.
1976.
That's right.
And I mean, how is it for you today to, that riff starts, and I'm in that audience, and everybody knows what you're going to start, you all are going to start playing. How is that for you, though, all these years later?
All these years later, I always say in jest that, hey, we made the wedding circuit, but it's one of those songs that I think at every wedding you ever go to in the after party, that's one of the songs in there with We Are Family and, Brick House, all these dance halls. And I think that's why it's lasted. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek funny. It's also based on a true story. Someone actually said that to our drummer. You better start playing some funky music, white boy, basically, if you want to keep your job at this club. And but it was a song that everyone danced to. I mean, guys that don't like to dance, when we would start that song, they go, yeah, I'll give this one a shot. So,
But you could dance, can't you?
Well, we horrified the choreographer.
And something that people may not know about you, you worked at one of my favorite stores back in the day, Radio Shack.
That's right.
What did you do at Radio
Tandy
Shack?
Company.
It's a
Tandy Company.
Right.
Well, we were also a television repair place too. So I worked on the beach, and so we had about 300 condos that we, go pick up TVs, replace them, bring them back. If it was just something simple, I could fix it. I mean, this is the era before cell phones and everything else. Really, I mean, they were just coming out. So I would go out on. Someone would buy the fancy brand new video camera, then I'd have to go to their house and show them how to use it. I had one cute little old lady that didn't know how to work her answering machine, so she would bring it in every week, and I got to the point where I'd have coffee and donuts, and I'd rewind it, and she'd listen to all her messages from her children, and
Oh my! Did she have
some tea, and
Was there anything inappropriate on those messages?
Yeah.
No.
Really? You
No,
heard
yeah,
them?
me. Oh,
why
of
I
course.
kept
Back in
going
the
back.
70s, everything was inappropriate.
I think she might have had a crush on me, but because I said, just rewind and play. She goes, well, I like when you do it.
yeah.
And another fun fact about you, Brian, is that you worked with James Taylor's brother.
I did. Both of them, actually.
Oh, did you?
I did. We did several albums with Alex Taylor. I worked for King Snake Records, which was a studio production house. We did mostly independent blues records. Alex Taylor was James' older brother, so we did several albums with him. And we made one album with his younger brother, Hugh. So that was cool. And I got to meet the family. Flew up to Boston to do background vocals with Kate and the whole Taylor family. That was pretty exciting. And made many records, over a course of 15 years with that company I worked at. That was sort of in between Wild Cherry and when I met Lonesome Dave, and he brought me into the Foghat family. So I had a little 15-year stretch there where I did a lot of engineering, and so that was a great part of my career.
And another part of your career, you were a professor?
Yeah, I did.
He still is.
Professor Brian.
He's the resident
I'm not
genius
an
in this
official
band.
professor, but I was an adjunct professor at Daytona State College, and they had a really great program, which was recording engineering. And I don't know if people are familiar with Full Sail Academy in Florida. It's a big, recording engineering, video editing, game making, and they had an overflow of students. And my friend, who was a Nashville studio owner, and Mike Kerb, who's a famous country music record label owner, did an endowment to the State College, as he did all over the country, actually, in several programs. It was really like a community college, and a beginning state college, but it was state college prices. But it was a really upscale staff there, and people from Nashville were the teachers there. They had an overflow of students, and they asked me to come in, and I sort of taught like a School of Rock. We had what we called contemporary ensemble, and everyone in the program had to play in a band, whether they were musically inclined or not. Some of them were there for engineering. But that was it. I would teach them how to run a rehearsal and get everybody involved and play. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I did it for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years.
Were there any students that went gaga over you?
Not her name.
I think some of them were, impressed and knew of my history, which is the reason I was there. So that was always a topic of conversation. And I used to tell my students, I said, here we are in Daytona Beach. I had the pleasure of having a #1 hit record. So success is not as far away as you might think. So, I'm in the same room with you. You can follow your dream.
That's right.
That was
Follow
pretty
your
much
dreams.
the point of my program.
And another cool thing I found out about you is that in 1977, Wild Cherry won the AMA for Best Soul Song, and you were tied with Lou Rawls.
Right.
How did that happen? And
Yeah.
how come you guys weren't there? Because Wolfman Jack accepted it.
I know, and we were friends with Wolfman Jack because we had just done the Midnight Special, and he was the host there.
Very cool.
And funny story, there's a picture of me in the Hard Rock Hotel in Miami. It's supposed to be, my guitar's there,
right,
and it's supposed to be me, but it's actually Wolfman Jack. and the rest of the guys in the band, I'm not even in the picture. But he was a cool guy, and we went to the Grammys. We were nominated for a couple Grammys that same year, and we didn't win. And then, I don't know, a record company didn't want to buy us any more plane tickets, I guess. So I watched it on TV.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that's true.
That's crazy.
They were like that. Weren't they?
Not
That's
even
right.
Thieving bastards.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one we won.
They take all your money, don't they?
They still,
We don't want to pay for you to go, but this is the one you want. I wish they would have been there.
It's on Channel 4 if you want to catch it.
yeah, right. That's pretty much how it went. We were home. But yeah, that was exciting, and Lou Rawls, of course, was fantastic.
You'll never find.
Yeah, that was
No
the song.
love like mine.
There you go, see?
Love him. Love him. And in '93, when you joined Molly Hatchet, the first show you did was with the newly reformed Foghat. Like, how weird is that?
It was pretty weird. Yeah, I basically got off Dave's bus. Roger and Dave were getting back together with all the original members, I think at the behest of legendary record.
Tell the story.
I will.
It's a quick story. Yeah, carry on.
Okay.
It's got a story.
But anyhow, yeah. So the funny part of it is that we had quick rehearsals, mostly on the bus on the way to the tip top of Maine, and I got off the Molly Hatchet bus and walked into the arena, and I walked into the Foghat dressing room because I've been doing it for 5 years.
And what did the drummer say?
And I said, "Wrong room, mate." I went, "Oh yeah, right. I'm over there now." And it was the beginning of 30 years of us.
That's right. That's
hanging out
right.
and having fun together.
Me and my mate Bri.
That's right.
That's crazy, though. Isn't that nuts how things just work out like that?
Yeah, it's pretty shocking, really, when I think about it.
But it's a lot of it, especially in this business. I mean, being in the right place at the right time and like never wanting to give up. It's like, it's what you want to do, right? You just turn up. Somebody says need a guitar player, they turn up. Need a drummer. Hello.
And one more fun fact about you, Brian, not that it was probably fun, but you got a cease and desist letter from the Rolling Stones.
Nice.
Nice.
So are you the bad boy of the band?
That's a really good law firm. We're a club band in Pittsburgh,
Right.
and I think this is just after I left Wild Cherry. I had a band called Tumbling Dice.
Good song.
Yeah, I wish I still had that letter. I'm not
Nick
sure
said,
what happened.
hang on.
Did Mick write it? Keith wouldn't have done that. Keith would have said, "You can play my song if you want."
It was somebody law firm, and so we changed our name to T Dice. And people were like, "What does
Doesn't
that
quite
mean?"
as
And I
catchy.
said, "Well, there's a story there." We actually got a letter in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as a local club band to cease and desist. I was like, "Ooh."
You should have printed up T-shirts with the letter
no
on the
kidding.
front of
That
them and
would've
sold
been
those at the gigs. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Rodney, you're the fun guy. I have to say, right? Is he the
mushroom of
fun
what?
guy?
Well, I'm not
Mushroom
well,
of the
I'm no
band.
fun. He's
The
fun
mushroom.
too. Brian can be
Yeah.
funny.
Well,
Be
the
funny,
fun
Brian.
And you have great shoes, like we said.
Well, not now, but
I was about to
I have
say,
my
see?
moments. I have my moments.
And you took a 10-year break from the music business. So what happened there?
I became a normal guy.
Really?
Well, I tried. No, I'd been doing the club thing for, years on end. I started playing in clubs while I was still in high school. The deal was, hey, you got to graduate. Okay, so yeah, class, play. Yeah, it's kind of tough. Went straight out on the road, and I just did the whole club thing for ever and a day, just beating it. But at one point I did like 5 years with a band. It was like a regional club band back when you still had the big production. We had a semi on the road to haul all of our gear.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, big light show, sound, everything. And we did great. We did 2 CDs that we killed it in the club selling them, and then merchandise. We had full everything, kind of like Foghat, but just lower scale. But we covered about a 20 state area. So we were able to keep our money up, because it's like, if you didn't see us now, it's going to be at least 6 months to a year before we'll even be back. Mm-hmm. And but that was a machine that chewed you up and spit you out, because I kept all my calendar books, man. We played on average about 240 shows a year.
What?
Most of them were one-nighters.
Wow.
So we chewed up road crew guys.
Holy moly.
And spat them out.
I look younger now than I did back when I got off the road.
I believe it, though. If you were doing
But
that
yeah,
many
it just
days.
wore us
Yeah.
out. But
That's a grind.
but I did that, and then I went into real shock, because I come off the road of doing that, where everyone roars in the crowd and everything, to a house country gig where 5 nights a week they don't applaud, they just dance. Yeah.
That's hard.
So I brought a real rock and roll edge to it, and eventually we changed people's outlook, but the guy so wanted me in his band so bad that he really tolerated me. So I would be to the point, it's like you'd play, and it's like afterwards you're thinking, well, man, we just kicked butt on that. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'm just like, I'm going to the bar, and I knock my mic stand over, just drop my bass on the stage, and I would just walk off stage. And people were like, they would always go, we really like him, but we just don't understand the violence and the negative energy out of him.
You seem so mean.
But over time, I evolved this around, and it's like, next thing you know, I've even got the guy that owned the club that played in the band. Next thing you know, as time goes on, I've got it where the whole band is like, hey, okay, everybody's going to the bar. So the whole band's going to the bar and laying on the bar and doing shots. And
you started a trend.
and the thing is the people were just throwing money down like crazy, you know. And it was like, and I told them, it's like, you gotta have the rock and roll attitude. Who cares if it's a country bar?
There you go.
But I got really burned on that, and then I just kind of moved back to be near mom and dad, and I just became a normal guy for a while.
You had a girlfriend?
Well, I got married.
Right.
Funny thing is she married the musician guy, so when I decided I was going to be normal, I'm going to go build a house, be a clean-cut normal guy, she didn't last 6 months.
That had to be hard, though, to go from literally playing all of those dates to basically, well, throwing yourself at the bar, you know. And
Yeah, the country gig, yeah, I probably shouldn't. But I found that was a guilty pleasure, man. I love singing country tunes.
Really?
Oh, I loved it,
Yeah.
man. I loved it. I got to the point, you know, I was singing lead half the night. And I was like, I was enjoying it, having fun with it, but it was just like, it was 5 nights a week, the same, you know, place over and over.
Yeah.
So it was like the kiss of death. So yeah, I became a normal guy for a while, and then I got the itch. About the time the economy was starting to tank, because I've gotten the window and door business, still in it today. But about the time the economy was getting ready to tank, I mean, I'd play local a little bit, but my whole thing is two things. One, I don't rehearse, and two, I'm only going to play like 2-3 times a month. If you want to do any more than that, I'm not your guy, you know. So I would do all these gigs where I would just show up and play. And but then about the time 07, I read the writing on the wall, but that's when someone told me Pat Travers was looking for a bass player. So I was like, we kind of know each other from crossing throughout the years. I said, he won't remember my name. I said, if we get in a room together, he'll remember. So once we got in a room together and kind of dropped a couple of names here and there, oh, okay. So then it was like, we played a song or two, and then it was like, all right, you want a gig? I'm like, all right. But the crazy part of it all is, I figured I had an itch to scratch. The economy was crazy for a little bit. I'll do this year, 2 years tops, and I'll get it out of my system.
Right.
I'm actually doing what the good Lord meant me to be doing.
But now, did you know that Brian was also friends with Pat Travers?
Yeah.
So did you meet Brian before you were all in Foghat?
No, it wasn't until...
Not until you were actually in Pat's band.
I was
and
in
went to
Pat's
see you
band.
play.
Every now and every now and then we would do shows or pass from the airport or something, but that's kind of...
I had a little club band, a blues band, and we played in Orlando called Blue House.
Yeah.
And Pat brought Lonesome Dave, had just came back from England and relocated to Orlando, and was looking for musicians. And he was actually, Pat was good friends with my friend Steve Dees, who was a bass player,
Right.
and had played with him previously. But he brought Dave to see our band, and me and Dave hit it off.
What did you play?
I played guitar.
No, what songs did
Oh,
you
well,
play?
we played all this very, like Excello blues kind of music, swamp blues, you would call it. Lazy
Yeah.
Lester,
Yeah.
Lightning Slim, Lonesome Sundown. I mean, songs that most even blues aficionados aren't familiar with, but it's a really like swamp, southeastern blues. Dave knew every song.
I could have played in that band.
You could have.
I could have.
Yeah, the fact that Brian knew Pat was almost like the nail in the coffin for me getting into the band here, because like Brian's thing is like, hey, he plays with Pat. I don't want to take Pat's bass player. As long as Pat's okay with it, then I'm okay. But if Pat's not okay, he can't
And
join
what
the
did
band.
Roger say? I want to steal the bastard. Craig McGregor said, because when Craig couldn't play anymore, he said, we had 4 different bass players, and he said, I'm not playing anymore. He said, Rodney O'Quinn's the one you want. I said, okay. And we stole him. I asked Pat if I could steal him, and he said, yeah. I don't think he quite realised what was going on. Took him. Made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and here he is.
And it started with breakfast with the late Craig.
With Craig,
McGregor,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, I actually started the night before. Craig actually came out. We played practically around the corner from his house. And that weekend, Foghat was off the road, and he came out. Him and his wife Lisa came out to see the show, and we hung out. And then at the end of the night, he finally was like, "Now, where are you staying at?" I was like, "Well, I'm staying right here." He goes, "Oh, that's real close to my house." He goes, "What time are you leaving town tomorrow?" I say, we're probably not going to leave till about 11:30. He goes, "I'll pick you up at 7:30. He goes, "I'll take you to my house, cook you breakfast. We'll hang out." I'm like, "Well, cool."
Like, okay.
So,
The man could cook.
oh yeah.
And he was handpicked by our bass player.
Yeah.
Handpicked.
So, as I always tell in just about every interview, that's my Mark Wahlberg rock star movie moment. Because when I was first learning how to play, Foghat Live had just come out. So that was one of my go-to records to try.
Right.
I'm going to do this. And I even when I wasn't playing my bass, man, I had a tennis racket. You know, 'cause you had that crowd. You know, but that's my whole thing now. So I used to have posters of these guys on my wall. Now I'm one of them.
Yeah, but it's so true, right? I mean,
It
I
is.
have it written right here. Foghat Live was your go-to record,
was.
and here
Still-
you're
still to
playing.
this day.
Come on, you're playing with
Even still to this day.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's a
But Craig McGregor, he said, "He's the one you want. He's the one you want." We got him.
But another connection you also had, Rodney, was with Linda way before.
yeah. Because I used to handle all Pat's business, so forever and a day I was trying. It's so funny. Well, I shouldn't say this. Well, forever and a day I would always say it would be a good package putting us together. So I was always trying to get through to Linda. It's like, let's see if we can do a package thing or whatever. Now, whenever the package comes out, it's like, I don't think that's a good idea. But yeah, and Linda would call me at times just about if there would be a certain venue that she would hear some kind of little weird chitter chatter about, and she knew we had been there. She'd call and ask me, and I remember she gave me the ropes on the first time I went to Sweden Rock with Pat, because I knew she had been there. So, yeah, we had a mutual respect thing there because the business in. And then when I first came out, so she told me, she goes, "I'm going to love having you here." She goes, "Because the things these musicians don't understand, you can explain to them."
I mean, Linda is the heartbeat of the band,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you
she is.
knew her before you even joined.
She is the hurricane behind this
That's
band.
the hurricane, not a heartbeat, a hurricane.
Hurricane and the heartbeat.
That's
Really.
right. That's my heartbeat.
She is. And you also worked with the late Ronnie Montrose.
Yes.
Which, wow.
Yes. That was one of the things I did. Me and a agent in Kansas, Frank Moyer with A&E, we had put a package deal together where it was like we as Pat's band would be the core band, and we played behind. We would and we sold it to like festival type things. Rib America Fest, boy, they ate us up because we could give them basically 4 45-minute shows, minimal backline, minimal changeover, because you were just take this person out, put this person in, and so we played behind Derek St. Holmes, Pat Travers, Ronnie Montrose, and Mark Farner from Grand
Wow.
Pump. So, but that was a very cool thing when we got to do that. But it's so funny as we were putting it all together. Me and Frank were always having these conversations about the dealings, because I was going to be the guy on the road that handled everybody, and then Frank was in the office But it's like everything was just so meticulous, and just like every time you dreaded having to make that call to Ronnie, because up front before we actually got it fully off the ground, it was like everything was just like an issue. Mark Farner, you called him, it was super easy, no big deal. Once we actually got out, it was a complete 180. Ronnie was just real mellow. Hey, whatever, no worries, In the meantime, it's like, were you the same guy I was talking to that just grilled me about everything? And now you're
You
just
wanted
like,
to make sure it
"Hey,
was all
whatever." Yeah. But Mark Farner, very talented, but he could be a challenge sometimes.
And Ronnie Montrose, you love the man.
Loved him. God,
man.
Ronnie was my buddy. I mean, we got to talk a lot and bond a lot. We were planning a Pat Ronnie thing with Pat's band being the core thing, and just be Ronnie and his singer. And I spoke to him like a week and a half before, he killed himself. And and that's what just really floored me, because he was just so looking forward. We had dates laid out, and he was looking so forward to it, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call a week and a half later. I'm just like, in shock over it.
So there were no signs of...
None that I knew, and that's what I found out later on. The Ronnie that I knew, there was another Ronnie that at home, which, I'm still good friends with, his wife. Yeah. And, but there was things, I guess, she never talked about, so I didn't realize that there was a Ronnie that had a lot of demons he was dealing with, and he also had a lot of, he did a lot of closet drinking as well. That, when we was out on the road, maybe he'd have a little, glass of wine or maybe a little martini, and that was it. He was done.
Wow.
And then he'd switch to water. So, it was just, it was really caught me off guard.
Like people always say, you never know.
Yeah.
You never, ever know.
You never know.
Then there's Scott.
Yes! Wasn't that a funny story?
Well, and then, not to bring it down again, but I'm glad everybody's okay from the tornadoes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, thank goodness.
I still want to talk about the segue. This is like Casey Kasem coming out of those upbeat numbers and doing a dedication to the dead dog.
I listen to him every Sunday, so maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know. Maybe I just channeled him.
Maybe so.
I don't know.
And now let's go to tornadoes. More death and destruction.
Well, I'm glad everybody in your family.
Everybody's safe. Yeah.
Oh.
See, the
They're
trains,
here. They're
the
here.
trains.
Sound effects, nice.
So you also performed with Lou Rawls.
No.
You did not?
No, I don't. Oh yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I thought because it was on your
One time.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came to. I was playing with Buddy, and he came to the club. And, he sat in with us, so I did play with him one time. I forgot about that.
Did you know Brian?
No, not then.
Yeah.
No.
And did you guys ever talk about the fact that you were with Lou at that one, that one moment in time?
No, Brian and I don't really talk a lot. We don't have a lot of.
Really?
They talk with their guitar.
In fact, we only just met just right before this interview.
They talk with their guitars going.
He walked in. He said, "Who are you?" And I said,
What are you doing?
"What are you doing here?"
And something that people may not know about you is that you've recorded 7 albums of your own.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew that?
Well, you have to be crazy to do it, I guess. But yeah, that's true.
And, recording 7 albums of your own, how was that for you? And do you miss doing original, recordings on your own?
Not really. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at. I feel like, God kind of put you where you're supposed to be, and I've been fortunate my whole career. I've never had a real job. So,
This is the real job.
it's not.
No, it's
It's
not.
not.
It's
No.
not.
Real jobs are like with shovels and
Oh, no.
sweat, and we got to.
Well, I sweat
yelling at 'em.
sometimes.
Like,
People don't
but it's
clap.
fun.
Excellent.
Nobody's doing this.
Right. They don't clap for real
Oh, this
jobs, right.
isn't a job. This is way better. But yeah, it's this is a really good spot to be in. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
And what's the best feeling you get when you're on stage? I mean, just you're in the lead, you're singing to the crowd, and what does that do for you?
Well, there's not really a lead because there's 4 of us, and it's a band, and it's everybody's doing their thing, and everybody's shining at the same time. So,
That's right.
but it's the gratification comes from the audience is enjoying what we're doing,
Yeah.
and we're having fun, and we're having fun amongst ourselves. So that it's just a transactional thing with the audience for happiness.
Every time I see you guys, you're having a blast up there, and you guys gel so well together.
Yet another indication that this is not a job, because if it was a job, we wouldn't all be happy. Somebody would be grumpy, and
Yeah, that's true. That's
we're
true,
all having a
though.
good time.
And I would be the one at the cash register. Would you like fries with that?
Yeah.
You want some cheese on
Yeah,
that thing?
see? Can you imagine us trying to run a McDonald's?
No.
It wouldn't work at all.
No. And Jimi Hendrix was an inspiration for you. Why?
He was the inspiration. Yeah.
Really?
That's the why I picked up the guitar. Yeah. I heard Jimi Hendrix and changed my life.
And you've been on several TV shows, but one that you were on, The Tonight Show, with Johnny Carson. How was it to? I'm sorry, but I love Johnny
I
Carson.
do
Watched
too.
him all the time with my grandma.
Yeah.
And what was that like for you?
It was really cool. It was one of I think it was the last year he was on the show, but right before he retired. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and we did the show, and I got to meet him afterwards, and it was cool. I mean, it was an honor to get to see him, because I grew up watching him too.
Oh,
so,
gosh, yeah. And who else was on that show that when you were
I
there?
don't remember. I can't remember. Nah, I don't remember.
Now, you and Rodney.
Elvis and Nipsey Russell.
No.
No, I haven't.
It sounded good.
I love
though.
Nipsey
Yeah,
Russell,
I do
too.
too, but
Come
Get that out of the air. See, it could have been anybody.
on. And you and Rodney, with Roger, started Earl and the Agitators.
No,
So-
no,
it's
no.
me.
And
Oh,
Brian.
you and Brian.
We'd be
Okay.
nothing without Brian.
Rodney, did
No, I came in later on.
you were in it, though, no?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
was.
Who played on the record? Brian and
Brian.
and
you.
Craig. Didn't Craig?
Craig played some. Yeah, that's
Play,
right.
Craig
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
some bass because Craig loved Scott,
And I loved Craig.
Do you still
and I loved
Oh,
Craig
yeah.
too. There was a lot of love going around.
A lot of love.
Lot of
Yes.
love.
Oh,
Yeah, Rog and Scott hooked up first, and we were looking for understudies. Basically, I think was that how it went?
Yeah.
Because there was a point where we had a lot of contracts, a lot of concert tours through the summer, and we're not spring chickens or anything. So we instead of having to cancel a show, if someone has a health problem or some kind of emergency, we would have someone be able to step in and fulfill the show. And Scott was a backup behind our current singer at the time, Charlie Hune.
And I didn't even know what an understudy was. I was excited. I thought, well, this is fun. Do I get to wear a uniform, or what happens?
Yeah, so that was the beginning of it, and so we did some rehearsals, and we had such a great time playing together. And our chemistry was awesome. Then we started writing songs. We needed 1 or 2 songs for one of our last
Under the Influence
right?
album, yeah.
Our last studio album 7 or 8 years ago. And so instead of writing 1 or 2 songs, we wrote 17.
17. Yeah, we were really having a good time.
And we were in Nashville. We had recorded 5 or 6 more, some covers and some originals.
Yeah.
And
then
over
Linda made
a
us
couple.
stop. She said, "Stop! That's enough songs. That's enough."
After a couple glasses of wine, I think I blurted out, we need to, have a whole other band with put these songs out. And somehow Earl and the Agitators blurted that out.
It was like the first bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon had gone, and then the second was open. And it's a bit of magic when that crossover into the second bottle happens.
That's right.
That's where the best ideas come from.
I had a moment of wine-induced clarity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And where is Earl today? Where does Earl stand?
Well,
Here we are.
We're all early.
We're all here. We're-
so actually, it's an unofficial Foghat record at this point because now here we are.
Actually, it's an
yeah.
official Foghat record because
It is,
we're all here.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was an overflow
Yeah.
of material.
Well, yeah, 17 songs. That's,
Yeah, we
that's
had
a lot.
and that's a good record, and it was that's when we knew we had something. So in fact, we were doing that again.
We were, weren't we?
When we were in rehearsals and writing for Sonic Mojo, actually preparing to do that record when Charlie decided to retire, and Scott was sitting right there. We were writing to go, well, instead of
I was
writing.
over in the corner sweeping up. I said, "Hey kid, can you sing?" I said, "I don't know."
With the uniform.
Like instead of writing some new songs, you want to take a pause and learn 25 Foghat songs.
Yes.
And so
Linda
that
put
was
out a
it.
video the other day, right before you guys went on the stage, and you are huddled together. What do you guys say to each other before you step out there?
Well, Roger says something like, "Don't f*** up," and he's real serious when he says it. He's like, "I mean it seriously. Don't f*** up."
Don't f*** it up,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah. And then Brian goes, "Yeah." And me and Rodney go, "Oh no, okay." And then we go on stage and we're all scared.
Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough going out
right.
there.
Because we're all so
It's really
serious.
tough.
Yeah, right.
Everything's
And
important.
then Rodney interjects a little positive affirmation there before.
Well, we
hit the
take
stage.
turns. Me and Scott take
Yeah.
turns.
Yeah.
So you each say something,
just,
positive before you head out there, and then
Yeah,
just,
don't f*** it up.
That's positive.
that is
very positive,
positively
Yeah.
scary. That's
Well, we do care. Everybody cares. No drinking beforehand and that other stuff. It's like serious stuff. This playing music.
So, Roger, you helped to form Foghat in 1971. a long time ago.
Did I?
You did,
Okay.
and
All right, if you say so. You seem like a nice person.
can I stay?
Yeah,
All right,
you can
good.
say.
Thank
Yeah, you
you.
can
Thank
say. No, you can say.
And then in 1972, one of your very first shows was with ZZ Top, and you guys just performed with the ZZ Top.
Yeah, down in Louisiana, I believe.
California,
Is
right?
it California? I thought it was Louisiana, actually.
So do you remember that show, that first show you played with the ZZ Top in 72?
No. But we did a couple of shows with them. Fantastic band. We did a number of shows with them. And it was also due to a promoter over here in the States, down in Louisiana, Don Fox. And he put us on some shows together. Yeah, they were a fantastic band.
So that had to be cool. Just recently you're playing with ZZ Top, and you played with them all the way back in the beginning.
Yeah, we've done a number of shows over the years. Great band.
Always one of my favorites too. You know, Billy.
Yeah, I always look forward to playing with them. Billy Gibbons, I think, is certainly one of the great blues players ever. The way the records that he's done. Yeah, it's brilliant. But great band. I mean, unique as well, which is something which I think most musicians and bands strive for. And ZZ Top are special. Yeah, they've got their own thing.
Right. No mistaking his voice either.
No.
Your brother Colin just celebrated a birthday.
Yeah, he's really old. I'm going to see him at the end of the month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's 82.
That's not old.
That's not old. He's just getting started.
You're right. Yeah, it's not old. No, he's just like a kid.
Yeah.
He's like a kid. Wears diapers now.
Just get
No. Just kidding, Cole. No, my brother, he's my older brother, and he's always been an incredible older brother. He would pick me up sometimes and say, "Don't do that. Put it back down on the floor." Yeah, I was very fortunate to have an older brother that was into music. In fact, it was due to him and my father that I really got involved in music. Colin was a Jerry Lee Lewis fan, early Elvis Presley, and that was in the house. And one day my dad brought home a Jerry Lee Lewis record. Might have been a whole lot of shaking going on. On the B side was,
What was it?
come on, we just did it. No, we did it on our record.
Mean Woman Blues.
Mean Woman Blues. And my dad said, he turned the single over and he said, "You haven't to listen, son." He said, "This boy can really play the Joanna." And that was the start of a beautiful friendship. About 3 months later, my dad took me to see Jerry Lee Lewis. And I was never the same. My mother said, "It addled his brain. He was never the same after that." and it's something close to that. And I can play a slow blues in the key of C, but
Which
nobody
we
plays in
often
the
do.
key of C anymore, so I don't play very often. Yeah, Jerry Lee Lewis, I can blame him. And then, of course, I discovered Muddy and John Lee Hooker and Elvis Presley. Of course, his early records were just phenomenal. One of the greatest bands ever. Yeah, rock and roll music, country music, bebop, jazz, American music. That's what it's all about.
Oh, yeah.
This is where it comes from. This is the land of music. And this is the reason I live here, and the reason I play drums. Because that's how people used to talk to each other, you know that?
Through the drums?
Yeah. Do. That meant come in. Do. That meant go away. Duh. Now. So, and in fact, they still do listen to the drum. You know, that's how we reach people. You know, people dance. You don't dance to a guitar, do you? You dance to the drum, right?
Absolutely.
But there again, drums, like, you know, aren't really all that melodic. So without these guys, it'd get
need
a
it
little
all.
well, yeah, it
all.
would get a little boring going. You know, it's like no.
What if you sing like that? That's pretty cool.
Actually, Craig McGregor said a phrase one time. because the drums and the bass, you know, like basically without us, right, Rodney? They're nothing. Not much anyway. and Craig said, "Here, Rog." He was sort of ill at the time, and he said, "Rog, you know, we're the ones that like laid down the road for them to travel on." And I said, "Yeah, that's right. They'd be nothing without us." And he said, "Yeah, that's right. Let's have another drink."
And Roger, the late Albert Grossman.
Yes.
He was the guy who got Foghat off the ground, right? Because weren't you guys knocking on doors? Everybody was saying no to you guys, and Albert Grossman gave you your chance at Beersville Records.
Yes, he did. He came over to. We'd left Savoy Brown, the original band, and I rented a room in northwest London, and there was a pub at midday, and Albert Grossman had come over to England with the band and Todd Rundgren, and our manager at the time had invited Albert Grossman to come down and see us. It was just Albert and us playing in a little pub, smelly little room off a pub, and Albert came down. They're a very striking gentleman, big guy, long silver hair. And he came in and he sat down. We sort of said, and like we were on this little stage with our high watts, I think they were at the time, and we started playing. And now Albert was probably from here to the camera. We started playing. He went, "Oh!" And we did about 6 songs, which is about all we knew at the time. And we had been in the studio, but they didn't really sound like that. We made some demos at Abbey Road, actually.
Oh, wow.
But they didn't really. Actually, most of the songs made it onto our first album. It's just that we weren't really engineers or producers. Anyway, Albert, I think, liked what he heard, so we finished playing, and I think there was a sigh of relief from Albert, and he said, "Well, used to do this." He said, "Well, hey, can we get some tea and biscuits anywhere?" And I said, "Yeah, there's a hotel across the road. We can go over there." So the band goes across the road. We leave our road manager to pack up. Thank you. And and we sit down. Albert orders tea and biscuits, and we sit there. There's nothing going on. And then tea and biscuits arrive, and I think I poured some tea. And Albert sits there, and he goes, "Well, hey, let's do it." I still get chills when I hear that, because...
Why?
Well, Albert Grossman was the manager of the band, Bob Dylan, Peter, Paul and Mary, Janis Joplin. I mean, this man sort of could do things. Mm-hmm. All you had to do was be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and...
So you were great.
Well, apparently, but we had a lot of help along the way. So about a month or 6 weeks later, he sent $10,000 to me. But I was sensible with it. I went to Rockfield in Wales and booked some time. During the night session was Dave Edmunds, and we booked the day session, which was like sort of midday till 10 o'clock at night, and so the sessions would cross over a little bit, and we would listen to our stuff, and it would be fairly mediocre, which isn't really not a term for rock and roll, is it really? It was mediocre. It sounded mediocre. The playing was all right, it just didn't sound very good. Mm-hmm. We'd go in and in the same studio, and Dave Edmunds would be mixing his stuff, and it would sound like we had the Lord coming down and jamming with us. It was like incredible. It sounded fabulous. And Dave Edmunds always made fantastic sounding records, and it was a real rock and roll. Anyway, so the band and the manager had a chat about it, and we asked our manager to ask Dave if he would produce our record, because we weren't producers or engineers by any stretch. And Dave said, "Well, yeah, I got to finish my record first, but then I do that." And he did. And I know, and I said this before, but I'll say it again, without Dave Edmunds' input, I know our first album wouldn't have been anywhere near as good as it was. And I don't think we would have had such a our first single, I Just Want to Make Love to You, wouldn't have sounded anywhere near as good. Dave Edmunds is a genius, in my opinion. And I haven't seen him in a number of years, but brilliant musician and engineer.
That's so cool.
It is, isn't
So
it?
cool.
Isn't it cool?
I mean, I wasn't there, but I mean, just hearing you tell the story.
I still get chills even to this day. Hey, number one, right? Sonic Mojo.
Sonic Mojo.
Well, we never had. No, Foghat never had a number one record until recently.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, how is that? And
Well,
I mean, Slow Ride, what did that peak at?
20 or something.
It's insane.
Well, not really. It's still around and still getting played. So that's the cool part about Slow Ride.
Yeah.
True.
I think maybe certainly at the beginning, the band got, well, we followed our hearts as far as music. It was blues, rock and roll orientated. That's what we grew up on, listening to American music, especially myself and Lonesome Dave and Rob Price. It was, this is the land of music. This is where it comes from. And we absorbed it, and as does everybody else here. Well, you chaps grew up here, but
Well, I think it was you guys, like Savoy Brown and Foghat and all the British bands that actually introduced, at least guys of my age, and me in particular, we got reintroduced to all the great blues American artists that, we heard American blues translated through Marshall amplifiers coming from England,
Yeah.
And we're like, well, who's this Otis Rush guy, or who's Albert King, Freddie King, who are these? And then, and then for a long time in the 70s, a lot of those blues artists got to open up for rock bands. Albert King in particular, saw him open up for,
Yeah, and I got to play with a number of my musical heroes, Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker, Johnny Winter, Paul Butterfield. Yeah, it was really cool. And it's great, when you meet your musical heroes, and not only do they not let you down, that you sit there and you go, wow, you're in awe. I don't think all of us, certainly with this band, none of us have forgot how to be a fan. That's why we play music, because we're fans.
Yeah.
Hold on. Remember that show in El Dorado?
El Dorado.
El Dorado.
El Dorado.
Because in the theatre,
Like that.
they had all these signs saying, don't pronounce it El Dorado or El Dorado. It's El Dorado.
Like tornado.
Like a tornado.
Yeah.
That's right. And then it was a night we played 3 of our songs back in September of last year, and we played 3 of our new songs in the set, didn't we? And they went down really well. And then afterwards, you and I were backstage drinking wine.
What?
Red wine after the show.
Surely not.
Yeah, we were probably on our second bottle by this time. And I think you started the conversation off about...
As I often do.
Yeah.
With some great idea.
Yeah. And it was, how many jobs can you get? Like when you've finished working, people stand up and clap and cheer.
I clap for them all the time.
One job. One job. Playing in the band.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, the late Steve Marriott. Sorry to interrupt you,
right,
but the late
it's fine.
Steve Marriott, he is in the news now. His family.
I know, I've read.
Yeah, and didn't he act as Foghat's bodyguard, so to speak?
Yeah, 5 foot nothing.
You better leave him alone.
When Foghat first came here in 72, 73, we did a number of shows with Stevie Marriott, Humble Pie, and he kind of, he was absolutely incredible. And what happened was, as I recall it, we were doing some shows on the West Coast with them, and for some reason, their road crew was giving us a hard time about the PA, the lights, the monitors, or something. It was just some. And our manager went in to talk to Stevie, because we've been hanging out, especially me and Dave, would hang out with him and get all sort of hooked up. Stevie was a monster, a beautiful guy. And he went in and said, look, could you help us out? Because your crew's giving us a hard time about the monitors and the lights and stuff. Stevie comes out on the stage. We were doing a sound check and says, give Foghat whatever the fucking Foghat wants. Stop fucking with fucking Foghat, all right? And then he walked off the stage. now,
So he was like your bodyguard.
Talk about endearing yourself to someone.
Yeah.
No, I loved Stevie Marriott. He was an incredible musician. I could never stay up with him, neither could Dave. I mean, he'd be going on his second day and I'd be under the table fast asleep. He was beautiful. An incredible voice, great guitar player too, and great songwriter and singer. Incredible singer.
Great front band. I remember seeing him in a stadium show. So the stage was in the middle of like the baseball stadium, but there was no people on the field. You were in the stand, so it was quite a distance away. And all I remember, he had these white shoes on, and all I could see was running back and forth.
He could run.
Running back and forth across the stage.
Yes, Stevie Marriott.
You guys have... Get to clap.
Yeah.
And you guys have talked about wine a lot in this interview, and now you've had your own line of wine, Foghat Cellars.
I've drunk it all.
So there's no more for sale.
No, well, there is actually. When we were going through the COVID nightmare, everything sort of got put on hold, and there was some horrible fires out on the west coast. In fact, we just played out there recently and met our winemaker again. We have a 2014 Chardonnay from the West Coast, and we have a 2013 Pinot Noir, which we particularly like, don't we? I like that. Mm-hmm. But that's the only two that we have at the moment. But we'll probably be making some in the next sort of year or so. Yeah, we got to wine.
Wine's Bodioti.
Pass that bottle to me.
All right.
Now, the Forbes article that came out this week,
Yes.
Yeah.
live in New Orleans.
Which we all subscribe to, by the way. We all are subscribers to Forbes.
I'm on one of their lists. I'm not sure which one.
But live in New Orleans, 73, it debuted at number 2 for Record Store Week. I mean...
Didn't make it to number 1. Who was our number 1?
I don't know. I didn't...
Sonic Mojo. No, I don't know.
Yeah, it was probably Sonic Mojo, really. I mean...
Yeah, how about that?
Well, there were unreleased songs on there, right? So what made you finally say, you know what, let's get these out there to the light of day?
Well, actually, it had nothing to do with me. Warner Brothers sent me some CDs with these songs on them, and that we'd recorded in 1973 at the warehouse in New Orleans, Beaver Productions, and I was talking about Don Fox earlier, the promoter there. And it was just a 2-track direct, no mixing, nothing, and there was a bunch of songs. Well, actually, the first thing that struck me was the youthful exuberance, i.e., everything's twice as fast as it needs to be. Might have been induced by a few other things, but a youthful exuberance, and I'm listening to it, and there was, the shows were probably about 2 hours or maybe even longer we were playing, and a bunch of songs that we'd never recorded or played before. And I sifted through them for a while. I even talked to Brian about maybe is there anything we could do, but the Warner Brothers didn't seem to all that keen on getting involved with that.
Yeah, I wanted to sort of be, your ears and, give some input, but they weren't. They wanted to handle it themselves.
Which, anyway, some of the recordings were a little, they're quick, and there's definitely some whistles and some strange stuff going on. But there's songs on there that I didn't even remember recording or playing that, and jams. In fact, Lonesome Dave used to have this line that he would say after we played 3 or 4 songs back then, and maybe even later. Do we have permission to jam? And then, of course, the audience goes, yeah! And that's exactly what the record was. It was like permission to jam. And songs back then they would start off as a 3 or 4 minute number, then they would turn into this opus of 15 or 20 minutes, and it would include some other songs.
It's just
Like
it's just a
jazz.
great historical recording. I mean, from so far back, for something to come to the surface.
Right.
It's not like these days where everybody records everything from a phone to a tape deck. Back then, to actually have a early '70s recording pop up, just that alone, just the historical value of it's cool.
Yeah,
Right.
it was worthwhile, and so I helped pick out the ones that were vaguely suitable for public consumption, and I wrote a couple of liner notes from what I recalled, and it was it actually brought back some really fond memories of a time when we were just out there, like we were a sandwich and some wine at the end of the evening was our food for the day, but it was good. It reminded me of a good time when the band was really hot and all we wanted to do was play, and that's what we were doing, and that's what it was. We had permission to jam. Yeah, it was interesting.
So just the fact that Forbes was able to pick this up and, notice and bring to light of what great stuff it's doing, it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Must have someone in the office that's a classic rock fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forbes. I mean,
Forbes.
what are we doing in there?
Forbes is talking about us this week, not Taylor.
Right? Right? I mean, that is definitely a switch up. For sure.
Yeah. What we have? Three albums
Three records
in
on the charts at the same
three albums
time.
in the charts.
Yeah.
It's like it was. It's kind of some magic in the air, but
Yes.
we're actually doing what we love to do. We write songs, we play music, and I'm having an absolute blast.
Yes, you are. Yes, you guys are. And you married your manager, Linda. I mean, again, like we were
She wasn't
talking
my
about-
manager when we married. She didn't want to have anything to do with that. She'd said, "I just want to be fluff." I said, "Okay." Could you do this for us, please, Mrs. Fluff?
And Mrs. Fluff ended up turning into, really, she is the heartbeat of the band. I mean, she does everything.
What is she?
I think she's a goddess.
She's the hurricane,
Hurricane.
behind the band.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure.
Actually, my
I was going to
favorite.
buy her a hat with like 3 bills on it. Okay, well, and then we're doing this, and then we're doing that.
I did get it right in the end. Maybe I wasn't all that sort of useful at the beginning because being a musician, all you think about is playing. I mean, I loved my first wives and my children and everything, but I was never home. I mean, a typical selfish musician, just wanted to play. It wasn't that I didn't like anybody, I loved them dearly, but I just wanted to play. And Linda is my girlfriend, my wife, and my manager, so I have the Holy Trinity.
Yes, you do. Don't mess it up, Rod.
No, I haven't and won't. And I've got 3 other people that say, "Don't fuck up, Roger, all right?" No,
We tour more sensibly, not like the 70s where
Yeah.
you'd go away for, 12, 15, 16 weeks at a time, right?
and also my first 2 wives have forgiven me.
Oh, good. That's good.
It was
That's good.
because of Linda. They said, "She's really nice." What did you do?
Brian, say something to Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Scott.
We do, we make the music and then we go, here you go. So you can do the artwork, all the contracts and distribution deals.
We
and,
run and hide and peek behind the curtain and make sure we don't get killed.
No, we just be sitting in a room playing music to ourselves without her assistance.
But Linda is terrible, really. You know what she said? I want a new studio album and a new live album by the end of the year. And I said, "I thought you were going to take a break." "No." And then she walked out of the room, and that's it. And she's serious.
Yeah.
So we've been.
So we said, okay.
And I mean, all the shows that we do, and when we can, we record them, and we've started to compile some stuff. But when we get down, we're doing some dates in Florida sometime this year, and we've got a few days in between. We'll be doing some. We'll pick some other songs we haven't recorded live
Right.
before.
But that doesn't mean that if you come to the show and scream Foghat rocks, you're necessarily going to be on the record.
but maybe you will.
So, in other words,
And if we film it, you can turn, like that, hold up Foghat signs and like take your bra off. No, sorry.
that was 73 for sure.
They don't do that anymore, do they?
Scott, say something to Linda.
Thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you.
That's a number of them.
That's a number of them.
Rodney?
Linda, you know that I know that you know that I know that I know that you have got your hands full. But bless you, sister. You take good care of us.
Yes, she is. She's a sister. She is a sister.
She's awesome. She is awesome.
Yeah, she's my best friend, but she's a sister to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Spreads herself a bit thin, but that's nature.
That's Linda.
Yeah, she's great. But clapping for Lonesome Dave, Tim Simmons,
Be nothing without Dave.
and clapping for all of you, really. Thank you. I'm excited about the show tomorrow night here at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. And you guys are you're keeping this going. And it's amazing what you've all been able to accomplish. Number one, Sonic Mojo.
We're going to roll till we're old and rock till we drop. I don't feel very well. No, I feel actually fine. I think we're all really feel like blessed that we can have this degree of success after the band's been together such a long time. Yeah. And we've lost, so many members of the band. But I have to interject one thing here. I played with some great players and had a really good time, with this band. But I'm having so much fun playing with these guys. It's we have a blast, and it's a joyful experience playing on stage. Actually, Brian said something really cool a number of years ago. He said, playing music is like having a conversation. We're shouting at each other and making joyful noises. Yeah. No, it's great. It's
not I used to say this is something I said to my students. I said, music's not really a competition, it's a conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You play, you say something, then someone says something back, you listen, and like I said, what a great version, this group of guys we have here, brothers, chemistry is everything in a band, and it's amazing to find it, and don't take it for granted, for sure.
No, we don't. It's everybody sort of, you get that hour and 40 minutes on stage every night. Give it all you got, because tomorrow might be too late.
That's right. That's right.
And happy early birthday to you, Roger.
Oh, right, yeah. I'm going to be
29 again, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, Linda accuses me of being 16. I said, no, I'm more like 21. I got laid more then. No, I'm sorry. I've lowered the whole tone of the proceedings. I am so sorry. Edit that out. And
don't be sorry.
No, don't be sorry. All right. No, it's we have huge fun. We hang out together. We eat together. Another story I like to tell occasionally, because flying everywhere is like, most of our dates are flying unless it's drivable. We do like 400 or 500 mile drives overnight. Nobody complains. Some of them even argue about, well, let me drive. No, come on, let me. But it's, they won't let me drive though.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
Well, no,
you've got seniority.
I keep telling them I'm a good driver. I've never had an accident, but they say, no, that's all right, Roger. Why? Well, you pin the needle.
That's why it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, life is fun. Life is good.
Guys, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I appreciate it very, very much. And you have a great show tomorrow night. And just keep rocking. Keep rocking, guys.
Kiki.
You guys are the best, really. Thank you.
Okay, everybody wave.